Okay, it is time to continue with the Harry Potter videos, Deathly Hallows Part 1. We watched both of them last week, so we just didn't have the time with working and going to sleep at the correct time, as far as Connie goes anyway, to film the videos after we've watched the films. So it is what it is, but just so happens tonight is the night we're sitting down to watch Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. More on that in 2 videos' time.
I only go to bed early because I have to get up early.
I did say work schedules.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, Deathly Hallows Part 1, it's always been one of my favourites. And it still is one of my favourites. I really like road movies, movies where the characters are going on a journey together. And this is the only film that Hogwarts isn't in. I don't think, maybe there's a one shot, but you don't really see Hogwarts at all. And so it immediately feels different. It almost feels so different that it's almost like Prisoner of Azkaban, where it's like, wow, this is like almost a completely different world. Not quite that good, but you know, it's so different, and I really like that about it. And in the book, I loved the whole section when Ron, Harry, and Hermione are kind of camping around the UK, because it puts those characters together in a way where they can't escape each other. They have to rely on each other completely. And along with the weight, literally, of this Horcrux that they've got after they get that first one, tensions run high. So,
because it's corrupting their minds.
yeah, it's making them feel worse and making every insecurity they have much more heightened and so on. And so you see them kind of snap at each other and things. Anyway, so I mentioned, I think in the last one, I hadn't seen like the past 2 or 3 films in the cinema, at least Order of Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince. So by the time this one came out, we were together. I think this one we were, I was going to say, living apart. I mean, that's
What year was it?
2010. This one came out.
Yeah, I moved to Wales in 2010.
Yeah, so we were long
Summer.
Distance at this point. We'd only been together for a while.
Hey,
so
didn't it come out in the winter of 2010?
it might have, yeah.
Yeah, it's 2010 that I moved though, wasn't it?
No, it's summer of
Oh, it was
2011.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I didn't move after half a year, did I?
So I remember seeing it myself alone, and kind of maybe probably messaging you about how cool it was. I loved the ending. I think the ending's so fucking cool, because that was the big thing, was like, where are they going to split it up? And this was the big trend that started, like doing the last book of a series in 2 parts. You know, then Twilight would do it,
I
then Hunger
remember
Games would do
discussing
it.
this with you.
Yeah.
Like, you asked me, because you made me read the book before the movie came out.
Yeah, that's right. That's
'Cause I
probably,
hadn't
yeah,
read any
yeah.
of the books, and you just said, well, just read this one. And when I was done, and you were reading it with me or something, you said, recently. And then you asked me, where do you think they split the book?
Okay.
And I was giving it a think, and then I was thinking around there.
Yeah.
Because it's a big thing, what happens right before. And then you said what you thought, and it was like dead on.
Yeah.
Dumbledore's grave.
Yeah.
Voldemort gets the Elder Wand.
Yeah. And obviously Dobby's death, and it's a good emotional place to end the film, and it kind of really sets you up for the second one, which we'll get to in another video. So how do you feel about this one, revisiting it now?
Well, it hasn't been that long since I saw this one.
Yeah, likewise.
The part 2, I hadn't seen a second
Yeah,
time, I
yeah,
don't think. Or at least not all of it. I don't know. Maybe I put it on in the background or something at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't have... Yeah, it was like watching a new movie at some point, like some parts
Part
of it.
2 you're talking about?
Yeah. Part 1, you say that you like all this road stuff and I don't.
Yeah.
I miss Hogwarts.
Yeah, it seems a lot of people have that same opinion.
Yeah, no, I like when they're in the city, but when they're out in the country, which is understandable why they would go there. And obviously they have to look for these Horcruxes. But I just miss Hogwarts. So whenever they go back, I'm like...
Yeah.
You know, but then it's not the same. It's almost like Order of the Phoenix when Umbridge is just fucking up Hogwarts. It's not Hogwarts anymore, is it? She's making all these rules and stuff. But at least you're still in the castle. So I'm not I'm not like you where I'm like, road trip. I'm more like, no.
Yeah.
Though I do like road movies or whatever. The acting is so much better. It just keeps... They're getting older. They're so great in this one.
Yep.
It's such a dark movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are dying. Owls are dying.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that, and it's not a kid's film anymore. You've grown up with these, it's now a teenage movie crossing over to an adult movie. Not that kind of adult movie.
Yeah.
Grown-ups movie.
We know what you mean, yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, it was nice to see another, like they're just cherry picking all these great British actors. We get Bill Nye in the series.
These are dark times.
Mr. Potter doing a kind of. I like his Welsh accent. Maybe it's not the most accurate or realistic, but it has this nice twang to it, and I don't think there's really been a Welsh accent in the series. So I just like that.
I think he sounds exactly the way he's always sounded.
No, he definitely has this Welsh. He's affecting a Welsh accent for absolute 100% sure.
He
yes.
just has such a weird way of talking, just like
his enunciation and things.
Yeah, like what do you call him? The closet guy.
The closet guy.
Oh God, what's his name?
In Harry Potter?
No.
No.
It's just a famous actor.
The closet guy.
Yeah.
Who's the closet guy?
You think of a closet when you hear his name.
What?
Oh God.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You know, like he talks like this. And...
Christopher Walken.
Yes, walk-in closet. There you go.
You
I've heard it somewhere and
No.
it's stuck.
You
Walk-in closet.
were having me on then. You knew what you were talking about, didn't you? You were just
completely
setting up your own little joke there with the walk-in closet. You knew what you were talking about, weren't you?
I swear, and you're making my mouth hurt by smiling. I swear I completely forgot
Walk-in
his name.
closet, Jesus.
He's got his own way of talking.
Right, I guess.
When you hear him talk. And
I guess.
so does, what's his name again?
Bill Nye.
Bill Nye. Like, he talks like that in the...
Pirates of the Caribbean,
yes,
yes.
thank you. Can't think. He has the way of adding an at the end of words and stuff.
Yes.
Words. And then he shakes his head. He's shaking the words out of his head. I don't know. Dog time.
But I mean, he's in the film for like 2 minutes. So I don't know why. I liked seeing him in the film. I think it.
Yeah, I love him.
It is in part one where we also see Xenophilius Lovegood played by Rhys Ifans, which I thought was really funny because
he's so good.
I thought it was really funny because he's Welsh, and I thought, oh well, we'll get but no, he has to do the Irish accent because of
his kid.
Because Luna is Irish, at least in the film, and I love the animated sequence. That's really cool. When we get to the tale of the three brothers.
I remember the first time I watched that movie. I wasn't too big of a fan of that animated sequence, but I remember you saying that you loved it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't feel like it fit in. But watching it now, I really loved it. It's the drawing style really like it's captivating in a way. It's different. Yeah. It's not just like stick figures or whatever or Disney figures. You know what I mean? But
it had a touch to me. A dashing of Lottie Reiniger's work from the silent era. Well, I guess beyond the silent era as well, but the first feature-length animated film, The Adventures of Prince Achmed, which this German woman made entirely herself over a few years with just cut-out pieces of cardboard on coloured backgrounds, and it's just one of the most incredible films I've seen.
You showed me some of that, I think.
Yeah, and it's just how simple it is, but how brilliant it is. Anyway, so it reminded me of the style of that now that I've seen that film. Not completely, but it had I'd be really interested to hear because surely anyone who's into animation would probably have looked into that and would be inspired by it, but regardless. I thought that was a great scene. And I mean, it does seem people say online, from friends I know, they think the camping stuff is a bit boring and it drags or whatever. I don't know, I just really like it because it just shows these kids being not kids anymore. They're literally out on their own. They're not under the warm blanket of Hogwarts or Dumbledore. Here's one thing I've been thinking while we've been watching all of these films. Hogwarts. It's something that is so ingrained in us as a name for this place.
It's a disgusting name.
It's a disgusting name. You never really think about it, though, do you?
Yeah, I have.
And well, sometimes you do, but for the most part, you don't. And then every now and again, I'm like,
word of a hog?
Hogwarts. It's just disgusting.
How did she come up with that?
I don't know.
It makes it sound like a really gross Gryffindor. That's a cool name,
Yeah, it is, yeah. Anyway, just a random aside. I wanted to throw that in there because I thought about it during, I think, part 2.
I think Ron does a good job where
Yes.
Rupert does a really good job at being a prick.
Yeah, I feel
and
like
a spoiled brat, an idiot in this movie because I really dislike him.
I feel like he took what he did in Goblet of Fire with
Yes.
the piss off,
Yes.
but elevated it to an even better degree.
He was great.
But you
really hate him in this movie.
I don't know. You got to take into account that he's
no, what
he's
he
always
said about the parents and stuff, that was so over the line. Doesn't matter.
he had the locket that forced that out of him. Although I will agree actually that line didn't need to be there. I think it would have worked without it. And I do think that it does take it a bit too far, but you can account for it with the locket and the.
I know. Does he say something like that in the book? I can't remember.
I can't remember enough of the book. Yeah, I've only read the book about four times, I think.
But then when he came back and he said that the second he operated away, that he wanted to come back right away, but he couldn't find them.
Yeah.
That made me feel better because then obviously like he left so quickly after he took the locket off.
Yeah.
The effects didn't get to wear off.
I mean he's always been under the shadow of Harry, and that's obviously something that actually plays in his mind. And then maybe there's something between Harry and Hermione, and they play that up in the film a lot more than they do in the books.
They have a better chemistry, in my opinion, than Ron and Hermione does.
I would agree, but I will still champion the fact that I do prefer that Ron and Hermione end up together, because there's been a whole thing about that where J.K. Rowling's like, maybe I made a mistake, and all the fans are like, yeah, it was a mistake, but it's the story. I like it that way.
Maybe their chemistry is so good because there is no romance there whatsoever. They're like brother and sister. He didn't have any sisters.
Yeah.
She didn't have any brothers.
And
but Ron did.
And I remember before the film came out, J.K. Rowling said that there's a scene in the film that wasn't in the book that's like completely new, but she loved it and wished that she'd written it in the book.
What?
And I think that's the dance scene with Harry and Hermione.
When we saw the behind the scenes from the Goblet of Fire, and you saw that Harry and Hermione was dancing.
Oh yeah.
I think maybe someone picked that idea from there or something.
Yeah, you mentioned
it was kind of the same type of dancing.
It was really well done. It kind of again toys with the kind of love triangle perhaps, but at the same time it doesn't overstep that line, and it just felt like a really nice moment between the two. And anything else? Yeah, I was going to say about Ron. He's wearing a piece of Voldemort's soul on him, so I can kind of excuse the comment. But I'm just going back to the comment where he talks about you haven't even got your parents are dead.
Yeah, but Harry has his soul in him all the time. He's still a good person.
Very good point. I retract.
But then again, his Horcrux inside him isn't threatened, but the locket probably senses the threat.
Perhaps, yeah.
It's been tried to be killed a couple of times. They try to kill it, don't they?
Yeah.
They aggravated it. I'm sure you want to talk about when Dobby attacks Rat Boy from behind in the cellar.
It's a very minor thing. I just think that Wormtail is just there in the film, and we never see him again. And he's not my favorite character by any means, but I just feel like we should have had that ending, which in the book was his metal hand choked himself. It's very dark, and it implies
everything is dark.
It implies that he was so guilty he ended up killing himself. But I think we should have seen something. The fact that the last thing we see of Wormtail is just Dobby knocking him down was a bit lackluster for that character, but as I said, it's a minor point. I think the scene in Malfoy Manor at the end was really good with Bellatrix and Hermione. Like they really went for that scene, and it showed, and you can feel it. Specifically, Emma Watson's reaction, like it really feels like she's getting tortured, which is horrible. Yeah, what else can... Again, you can just go really deep, but we'll...
I'm never really sad when Dobby dies.
That's a good thing. You mentioned that, and I wanted you to bring that up.
Because I didn't read all the books, and so I didn't grow to love him the same way the fans do.
Yeah,
because the only memory I have of him is how annoying he was in the Chamber of Secrets.
Right, yeah.
So to me, he's just the annoying Dobby elf, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he was nothing but annoying. In the end, obviously, it's like, oh, thank you, presented me with the clothes. It's like, okay, good, now get out of here, I don't want to see you again. And then you see him again, it's like, is he really going to save him or is he going to break his arm? I don't know. And then he dies, and I'm like,
Yeah.
It's okay. So I feel like the movies kind of rid the fans who haven't read all the books the emotion they're supposed to feel when Dobby dies.
Yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from. I too don't get that emotional when he dies. I think it's a very sad moment. But in the book, you do get the Goblet of Fire, where he's in the story, and he's more lovable in that because it's past the point where he's trying to save Harry by almost killing him. So you get more of him in that story. But yeah, I think that they did a much better job with the visual effects, and I love the fact that when Harry is holding his body on the beach, they used an actual puppet, which I think you can kind of tell in certain moments, which makes it feel a little bit more real. What else? I love the Seven Potters sequence. I think it's 7 at the beginning. There's an amazing shot where the camera's doing a 360 and everyone's face is changing and stuff. So some really cool visual effects again. I think you said a few films ago that the visual effects just keep getting better and better.
It is 7 with Harry, and it makes sense that it would be 7.
Yeah, the 7 is a very important number in magic and the Harry Potter world. I do wish we got more of Dumbledore's backstory. I understand you can't really do it in the film because a lot of that in the book is literally just passages from his biography that Rita Skeeter has written. But I found his whole backstory with Grindelwald and his sister Ariana and his brother to be so key to the whole story, and we just didn't really get any of it. And just because we actually see Hermione pick the book up in Godric's Hollow, the Dumbledore biography, and we see her reading it later on in the forest. Just a little throwaway line to Harry, like, "Oh, Harry, did you know about his sister? Apparently, she got killed." Like 10, 15-second scene, you could throw it in there, and it would just build it up a little bit more. But obviously, they decided not to go that route. But
probably need more,
Perhaps, I guess that's just a minor quibble. I love the opening scene with Voldemort, which is really the only full scene you get with him in this film, at the table, and you see Snape, which is I think the only scene that Snape is in as well, and you see him looking into the eyes of this former colleague of his, and she's pleading with him, and he's got to kind of steel himself to show no emotion there, and then of course she gets killed, and you see how kind of what's the word? How completely stripped away Lucius Malfoy is. He's just completely, his stubble's growing out, he's just cowering, he's been completely stripped of all his kind of pride and dignity by Voldemort, which is fun to see for that character who's such a spiteful prick. So even though it's Voldemort, it's kind of fun to see Lucius get put in his place a little bit.
And then you kind of pity Draco.
Yes.
Because the pain he goes through in the Half-Blood Prince already.
Yes.
You can tell that he doesn't want to be a part of this, but he feels that he needs to because of his family and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that about covers it. I love the final scene. It's like it's that one opportunity that they've got where they can end it on a really kind of like the villain wins, where he gets the Elder Wand and he just fires it up into the sky. Credits. See you next year. I just think it's really well done, and a great way to end the. Because it's difficult to kind of take a book and split it in half, but I think they did a really good job of making it all about Voldemort's journey to the Elder Wand, Harry, Ron, and Hermione's journey to try and find more of these Horcruxes and stuff. I love the scene when Harry and Hermione go to Godric's Hollow as well. That was one of my favorite parts of all the books. And that was done well. And that's about it, I think. Yeah, okay. So, Deathly Hallows Part 1. Very, very good, and one of my favourites still, I think. See you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause